Welcome back from the short break. If you have just tuned in, this is Economy Chat. Let's talk business with Mr. Daniel Steinman. We are talking everything economics, and we refer to silos as institutions that operate solely in isolation. When I say NAMRA, Social Security, BIPA, NAMFISA, NTA, and of course the big gun, NACC, and silos. Can you explain that to our listeners?
Elsewhere, all those are parastatals, quasi-government institutions, and they are regulators of a specific function in the economy. But if you now want to, they are the epitome of organizations that operate in silos. You will know that you have to give them everything when you register a business at BIPA. The screening is very intense, and the level of information that they go into is very deep, And the same thing with Social Security. And the same thing with NAMRA. NAMRA is even worse. But these do not exchange information. Remember what I said about the banks? There's no central repository. So there's no lateral exchange of information. The system fails us in the sense that you have to go do the same thing for registration or for compliance. Now listen what I'm saying. Compliance. And compliance is not just a concept. You can get a fine, you can get a penalty. And you often get penalties. So there's a practical angle to all of this. But they regulate you. How does the government fund all those small armies of people working for all these regulator institutions? They have to pay them salaries. They're not going to work free of charge. They fund them through levies. Who pay that levy? You and I.
Yes.
We pay that levy. And it looks like nothing, 0.25 or 0.9% or 1.5% or whatever the levies it is that they charge, and their levies are protected by law. So their income is basically guaranteed by law. You cannot refuse to pay. You can either go to jail or you can pay the levy for all these regulators. The inconvenient part is that it's like a tax. And if you put all these regulators together where there's some form of compliance, and you have to satisfy the compliance level with all of them individually, it's not costing them money, it's costing you money. So it is like a tax, and it becomes significant if you look at all the organizations that exist where there is a level of compliance, in other words, where there is a regulatory function, and in most cases it is a statutory regulatory function. Now those are big words, and very few people actually think twice, what do they actually mean? But it means that you've got no option. You're part of Social Security. You have to pay Social Security. And if you now, Elsbeth, I hope you never ever start your own little business, because if you try to reconcile the Social Security account, it is an exercise in the utmost frustration. And you start asking yourself, why are all these people working there? Why do they have all these fancy systems? Why can't they not exchange the information with NASRA? In NASRA, the same thing. You have to go tell them everything about yourself. Why can't they get it from BIPA? Why can't all of them, NAMFISA, NTA, Anti-Corruption Commission, why can't they all find the information they need from the same source? Instead of you having to go to all these places, your time, your cost, on top of the levy that you are forced by law to pay them, to fund them, then you start asking the questions, why do we have them? And then ultimately, if you see with many of the parastatal organizations, dealing with them is a nightmare. Their accounting systems are really slippery. And the thing is, they've got the edge, because they're backed by law. You're not backed by law. You have to do what they say, Then it builds a certain resentment. And where I find it most is among owners of small businesses, so-called SME owners. If you talk to them, They will keep you busy the whole day with horror stories of encounters they had at any of these quasi-government parastatals, And they ask the same question that I'm asking: why do we pay them? And if they did not operate in silos, it would have been so easier and so cheaper, but it doesn't happen.
Well, I certainly hope that in the next few years, with technology, of course, at the front of our doors, that things will change and things will become better, and especially for SMEs. And let that not be a demotivation for you. Continue to open up your business, because Namibia does need your capabilities and your abilities and your ideas and your creativity, SMEs. So with that said, thank you so much for keeping it locked to the Power Station Energy 100. We will meet you again next week, same time, same place. From me, Elsa Bitimiani, and from Mr. Daniel Sherman, as well as the team, we say goodbye.